And he said that, you know what, in 2 words, it's be realistic. We need to be realistic, accept the limitation, the situation that we face. So if you're not qualified for other destinations for any reason, but you're getting qualified for New Zealand, I mean, how can you predict? For example, how can any one of you, I can't, I spent 17 years in the industry, I can't predict that any one of you, what are the immigration laws going to be for Canada 1 year from now, 2 years from now? What makes you think that if you're not qualified for a particular process today, you're going to be qualified a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? How can you say that? You can't. Nobody can. Even the immigration minister of that particular country can't tell you that what is going to do 2 years from now. What occupation may be shortage at that time. So, be realistic, start your process in an immigration plan for which you are qualified. Do not waste your time in waiting for something to happen which may not happen. So if you are not getting qualified for XYZ destination, but you're getting New Zealand, you get the migration visa within a year's time. How fast? And it's a good country. It's a developed country, for God's sake. What's wrong? So you use it as an entry point. If you like it, make that country your home. They also give you all the social security benefits. If you don't like it, after a couple of years, make a move to Australia, make a move to Canada. As a New Zealander, you have a benefit. You can work because, like I was saying, you can get an offer from an Australian employer as a New Zealand resident. There is a treaty between New Zealand and Australia, under which the Australian employers, as against citizens or residents of other countries, can give and will give preference to New Zealand residents and citizens for their jobs. Now look at it this way: if you want to be immigrating to Australia directly, you need an IELTS score. But this time, as a New Zealander, first you landed into New Zealand on a certain IELTS score. You started working there, but you got a job from an Australian employer. You went on a work permit there. Now, when you went to Australia on a work permit, this time you are getting work experience points for Australia also. Because in the point system, if you have experience in Australia, so you get additional points. So you get compensated and you can move on in filing a resident application for Australia, this time as a New Zealand resident. You can take another route. One can also plan immigration like this. You want to say something here? Okay. Anyone? Any other question? Before Denmark green card we are talking about. How many of you have heard about Denmark green card? You have. You have heard of it? It's. Don't even think about it. Don't even look at it. Simply for the reason, no other reason, that unless you don't know Danish language, you go into the QA program, you land in Montreal, still everybody talks in English. In Denmark you will never get a job if you don't know Danish. You go Google and you will find so many sob stories out there, people who went on green card but ultimately did not get a job because they never knew Danish. I can spend a lot of time in talking about the destination, but in my opinion, don't even look at it because you will not get a job because you don't know Danish. You will get the visa if you are qualified, but not a job after visa. And they give you a visa only for a year and a half. It's not a resident visa, by the way. They give you what's called a temporary resident visa. So it's given for a year and a half, and if you are not settled within that year and a half, you come back to India. You have to go back to your country. So don't even look at it. Let me just now get Geeta on stage with me. And
thanks, Ajay. And I just want to welcome all of you here to attend the seminar for immigration, and please you have spent some time with Ajay, and now if you have any clarifications, we'll talk about here Australian immigration, what Australian immigration is, what benefits you'll get, who will be qualified for this country, like more job opportunities are available for most of the IT professionals, all stream engineers, like that. There are many other occupations are also listed, like social worker can also file for immigration for, as he was talking about social worker. He can also go as a PR holder to Australia, and many architects can also go. There are many other opportunities, but if you are looking for PR and after getting a PR you are looking for a job opportunities, so more job opportunities are available for mainly for IT professionals and most of the engineers.
Let me just ask you one thing, Geeta, just for the benefit of the audience here. Can you briefly describe for them the point system as it is right now?
There are different factors by which you get points. So one who is looking for immigration, one has to meet the pass marks of 65 points. There are different factors. You get points for educationals, you get points for English proficiency, you get points for your age, you get points for number of years of experience. So mostly people who are looking for immigration for Australia, they'll be qualified if their age is below 39 years of age and they're holding a bachelor's degree, which is equivalent to an Australian level of bachelor degree.
And are there any different kind of categories under which one can apply in terms of, are there different programs under which one can qualify?
Yeah, there are different programs one can file. There are subclass GSM, we call it General Skill Migration Program. There are another category, we call it subclass 176, in which you request state for a nomination. After getting approval from a state, you file your visa, which is a faster visa. Within 6 months, you get your PR. Only criteria you have to meet here is you have to stay and work in the state for initial 2 years. After that, you can move anywhere in Australia, and here only if you are scoring less than 7 in each module, then also you can request a state in particular, like you can request a state South Australia for a nomination. If you get approval, you can file your immigration.
And are there different IELTS requirements for these three different categories?
For general skill migration, one has to score 7 in each. But if his age is above 39 and still he wants to migrate to Australia, he can still go, but he needs to score more in IELTS, that is 8 in each. And if he is looking for a state nomination, one can still apply for a state nomination with 6 also, but that is only for a Victoria state, and other states mainly require 7 in each, or South Australia can give you a sponsorship with 6.5 in each also.
So which means that one can look at state and regional programs in case one has a lesser IELTS score in some of the states.
Yes.
And in what circumstances can they create, for those who are married, how can they claim the spousal points?
If a spousal has bachelor's degree with minimum of 24 months of experience and her experience is also listed under their skill list, one can get extra 5 bonus points for spousal education.
And in these three categories that you talked about, is there a difference in the processing time frames?
Yes, general skill normally takes 9 to 12 months time, and state sponsorship takes 3 to 6 months time.
3 to 6 months time one can get.
Yes, yes.
See,
very fast. There are different priority groups. They have listed 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 2 group they call it a state sponsorship, which is processed in within 6 months time. Because 3 months itself take a skill assessment, which is whether you file for a general skilled or a state nomination, you have to get first your skills assessed, like your Indian educationals and experience are equivalent to a Australian level. After that you file for visa processing with DIRE. That process itself takes only 2 to 3 months time. So within 6 months time you get a state program, that is a subclass 176 state sponsored visa, which is equivalent to a permanent resident visa, but only difference here is initially you have to land in that state and you have to work in that state. Otherwise you will get all the benefits of that country.
And the regional program?
And there is another program, call it a regional program, which is a subclass 475, in which In particular state, there are suburbs area also in which with 6 IELTS also you can stay in that suburbs area of a particular state, and you will be initially getting a 3 years of temporary visa, and after that it can be converted to a PR visa.
Okay, and in terms of settlement funds, there are requirements that Australian government has for different programs. So are the settlement fund requirement different for each of these three categories?
Yeah, definitely for general skill migration there is no funds requirement, but yes, one carries the funds initially. One is migrating from one country to another, at least $300,000 to $400,000. And for state nomination, one has to show funds at least 10 to 12 lakhs for a family of 3 persons. And for regional also you have to show funds, that we are talking about a liquid funds. If you don't have a liquid funds of say 10 to 12 lakhs, you can show at least 10 lakhs in liquids and others in different modes like property and other things.
So what's been your experience like? You've been uh, making this application, helping all your clients. So what's been your kind of feedback? Are you in touch with some of these clients who have landed there, and what's been their feedback as far as their overall experience is concerned after they went on resident visa to Australia?
Actually, moreover, I enjoy doing files and I come to know like a personal situations also of the clients. Many of my clients are in touch with me, and since last 8 to 10 years I am sending many of the applicants, and they are well settled, they are happy, and they are always in touch with me. One of the situations which I heard from one of the client, he called me up and he said, Geeta, I am coming back to India because I think I have taken a wrong decision. I said, no, you have not taken a wrong decision. He was in the age group of 29 to 32 and he was working with CSC Noida as an IT professional, and he did degree also in IT. I said, no, Siddharth, just wait for another 10 days and definitely you will get a job. Just have patience, don't be a panicky, don't create a panicky situation. He was just calling his mom saying that I want to come back to India and I think I have taken a wrong decision. And within 3 days time, his mom called up and says, सिद्धार्थ ने मुझे कॉल करके बोला कि सबसे पहले गीता को बताओ that I got a job and now I am happy and now he's a citizen of that country.
It's very interesting why Australia, and there's a logic behind it, there's a reason behind it. Australia is one of the best destinations when it comes to job opportunities for a very, very technical reason. That reason is that, this is the only program where your skills are assessed as part of the immigration process. Which means, your visa is not issued to you as part of the stage 1 of the Australian application process. First you have to get your skills, your current skills, your educational qualification, your professional qualifications, your related experience get assessed by the relevant assessing authority, which means you are an IT professional, so they have Australian Computer Society. They'll go through your entire profile and confirm, and this is very important to understand here, and confirm that your qualifications and experience are good enough for the Australian job market. They can be accepted. Which means, and after that you file for immigration. That's the stage 2. Which means that after immigration, when you land in Australia, you already have that ACS positive assessment. That means no Australian employer need to look into the fact whether you are qualified to be employed or not. I am talking about professional qualifications. So because you are already positively assessed, the job market is immediately able to accept you. And I think Australian system that way is the best system among all the immigration systems that we have currently. For Canada, for example, you are an engineer, you land. I am not talking about IT professionals are accepted based on their skill sets. But let's say you are a mechanical engineer and you are not working as an IT professional, but you are actually working as a mechanical engineer only. Now you land in Canada and you want to work as a mechanical engineer, but you can't work as a mechanical engineer because your qualifications are not recognized by Engineers Australia. So then you go through, if you want to work as a mechanical engineer, then you go through the registration process, which can take 1 to 2 years time. You have to give additional papers, and then you become a mechanical engineer. In Australia, your qualifications have already been assessed, so you can straight away go and start working as a mechanical engineer if you are a mechanical engineer. I think so. That's a huge plus. Any particular areas
Here I want
document?
to add on one sentence that half the work is done from India itself, like your qualifications are assessed. If you are an engineer, you have got approval from Engineers Australia. If you want to become a member of Engineers Australia, you can become a member of Engineers Australia sitting in India itself. And when you land, you have that certification in hand. So immediately when you apply for a job, they see that you have already cleared the IELTS, you have already approval, your university is listed, your degree is equivalent to Australian level. So that's why you don't face that difficulties in finding a job. So sometimes you get job in 30 days, 45 days maximum. Within the 3 months, one is settled down in Australia.
Well, that's what normally happens. People are mostly employed in Australia simply for the reason that their qualifications have already been assessed. So from among different destinations, we have the feedback that we get from our clients. Their Australian experience is the best experience among all destinations. Hong Kong also yes, but Australian experience in terms of a resident visa from day one, that feedback is the best from whatever we hear from our clients. So that's something
The
that.
working system is also better if you compare with other countries. Like if you are sending them a reminder, you want to know the status. Normally you get visa on time also. There are no further delays also.
Yeah, you can all the time communicate directly by email, they respond also. Any questions any one of you would like to ask Geeta on Australia? So, how many of you are looking at Australia as a destination? There are 3 of you, so maybe perhaps you can ask some
point
questions.
system works for Australia, the new point
Can
system.
you give this mic?
How it's made. The new point system,
Yeah.
how it introduced now?
That is already introduced from 1st of
yeah,
July.
the 1st of July, I know it. But now my question is that how it works. I mean, can you explain it to me for how the point they are giving us?
Yes,
I'm looking for Australia. I have an assessment with me,
Okay.
the positive skill assessment.
Which assessing authority you have assessed?
TRA.
TRA?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to know how much point I will get for my experience. Actually, I have 10 years experience related and relevant in my field. But the assessment which I got it, they says I have only a 5 years experience.
Okay.
So my question, how much point I get it?
Okay. Like from 1st July onwards for TRA, they have changed the total criteria for point system, and earlier they used to give approval. After approval, one can immediately apply for immigration for TRA professionals we are talking about, like ITI holders, diploma holders. So now what they want, first of all, you will get 10 points for your education. And for experience, if you have, you are saying that 8 years or 10 years, but TRA has given you approval for 5 years. Because why they have given you approval for 5 years? As per the documentation, TRA feels that you can claim points for closely related profession 5 years only out of last 8 years. So you can claim points for experience 5 years, that is 10. So that will be 20. And depending on your IELTS and your age, if you are meeting the criteria of 65, you can file for general skill migration. If you are meeting the criteria of 60, you can request for a state nomination. So like that way you have to calculate the point. And another thing is if your TRA letter is old, so nowadays as per the new point system, you have to clear the technical interview part also for TRA. So have you cleared that also, or you have just cleared the first stage only?
No, I have cleared the first stage by TRA. They gave me on the April 2011.
Okay.
And the 1st of July they changed their rules.
So from 1st July it will be a bit difficult for
That's why.
diploma holders to meet the pass marks requirement, but still if any of the clients has any other factors where one can claim points, he has a relative who is staying in a regional area of Australia, you straight away get 10 extra bonus points there. So that way only you can meet the criteria, otherwise it will be a bit difficult for you to migrate to Australia. Because you need to meet the pass marks of 65 points. So if you are individually meeting 55, plus you have a blood relative who is staying in a designated area of Australia, there is a particular force which they call it a designated area. So you get 10 extra bonus points for that.
But for that, I need someone in my blood relation,
Yes.
or the regional also can give me a 10 points.
Regional also you can request for a state sponsorship. Then you will get a temporary visa that is initially for 3 years. But if you are looking for a permanent resident visa and you have a blood relative, then you get a PR visa.
Okay, so
Here we are talking about two different type of visas.
so you mean to say for 176, I cannot get a 10 points?
No, 176 you cannot claim 10 points. Now from 1st July onwards, if your blood relative is staying anywhere in Australia, you cannot get any bonus points for blood relative. Only you get bonus points if your relative is staying in the regional areas. 176 you have to meet the criteria individually 65 points.
For 176, I'll get only 5 points.
Yes, 5 points.
And for 475, I get 10.
Yes.
For
Because there is a difference in 176 and 475.
for permanent and this is for temporary.
Yeah, one is permanent and temporary and another is in the state itself. If you are getting a 475 visa, then you have to stay in the suburbs of that particular state. So that is the criteria.
So for 176, if I am ready to stay in suburb,
Yeah.
then also I will not get the 10 points. For 176.
No. Only for 176, so you are allowed to stay in the